going on? It is Craig Bennett, aka Cash Cake, here with DFSArmy. I'm going to do an NFL preseason breakdown of Thursday's two-game slate, where we have the Washington football team playing the New England Patriots, and we have the Pittsburgh Steelers playing the Philadelphia Eagles. Both games start at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So again, I'm going to kind of go down, break down each team, kind of talk about it a little bit. Again, things change. So this is recorded on Tuesday early morning. But again, if you want part of NFL preseason action, we have cheat sheets up over at DFSArmy, as well as projections in our domination station, which is our optimizer. So if you want to head on over there and check it out, you can use promo code preseason. The link is below. You get 50% off your first month of VIP membership, and then 10% off thereon as long as you have the membership. We grandfather people in. We don't charge people more money. And again, we don't outsource our optimizer as well. So all that is done in-house. We control everything. So head on over there and let me try to help you win some money. And let's check out the slate. All right, as you can see, I have DraftKings up right now, but it really doesn't matter if it is DraftKings or Fanduel. There is no price in preseason football. Everybody has the same salary. $5,500 on DraftKings or $6K on Fanduel. Like I said, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to kind of build a sample team, what I think is probably going to fit. Things can change a little bit here, but again, this is Tuesday morning. I thought I'd get something early out if you guys want to look at something, kind of play with some teams, maybe see where you're sitting at, or for any news that we're waiting on or whatnot. But if you haven't played preseason before, it is profitable. You're looking for playing time. You're trying to find guys that are going to see the field. Again, this is really week one. We had the Hall of Fame game last week, but this is really week one of preseason. There's only 3 weeks of preseason, and this year we have an extra NFL week. So without that, let me just dive right in here. I'll just go position by position here and talk about it with each team. We'll start with the Washington football team, their quarterback situation with Ryan Fitzpatrick, Heineke, Allen, and Montez. I really don't want any of these guys, honestly. They're 4 deep, and on a position here, I just don't think we really need to mess with it so much. So I really don't have any interest at all in these quarterbacks. If I was going to run any quarterbacks here, I guess it would be probably Montez. He would get the cleanup duty. Tyler Heineke, I guess, but I just don't want these guys at all. So it's not a situation where I think I'm gonna have any of them in 150 lineups. I think there's other ways where we can attack it here. So go over to the New England Patriots side of things. Jarrett Stidham is on the PUP list. He's going to be out a while. So they only have, 3 quarterbacks right now. Cam Newton, again, he shouldn't see a lot of playing time. So I don't really, care for him. If I was going to play one starting quarterback, it would probably be him, but I don't think I'm going to do that. And then it's Mac Jones and Brian Hoyer. So Mac Jones, the rookie from Alabama. I think he's going to see extended playing time. I think he's the guy that I would like out of the group here. I think you can play Brian Hoyer as well, but he's been around for a long time. So I think Mac Jones is gonna play quite a bit. He's the kind of quarterback that I would look at right now on New England side. So if I'm running 150 lineups, this is not the showdown slate here where we had last week, where you have to play you're just basically playing quarterbacks and running backs and cash. We've got to build out a whole team here. So I'm going to pick maybe 2 or 3 quarterbacks in my 150 and run with it. Like I said, I'm going to skip Washington, play Mac Jones. Heading over to the other side of the ball, the other game where we have Pittsburgh Steelers. We saw them in the Hall of Fame game, so we kind of saw it where Ben Roethlisberger did not play that game at all. It's one of those things where I don't see, first preseason game, even if he does play, I don't see it. I think that they're gonna, continue to play Rudolph, Haskins, and Dobbs, and man, they did not look good last Thursday at all. Haskins just didn't look good at all. Dobbs came in and threw a touchdown, but mop-up duty in the fourth quarter. He looked a little bit better, but again, he's playing lesser competition as well. So I think we're going to continue to see Haskins up there, Rudolph and Dobbs. I think Haskins would be one of the guys I'd want to target, though. I think they want to continue to get him some more looks. So it would be Haskins and and Dobbs for me if I was going to pick one, but I still want Mac Jones over those two if I was going to choose one. And then over on the Philadelphia side, their situation as well where they only have 3 quarterbacks. So, they basically got Jalen Hurts, Joe Flacco, been around forever, and then Nick Mullins. If you remember him, he played for San Francisco for a while. So those are the 3 guys on that side of the ball. Where we will probably get, I don't know how much out of Hurts. If we get some news that he's going to play, into the second quarter because of his running ability, I would have some interest there. Because they only have 3 quarterbacks. I don't have no interest in Joe Flacco. The dude's 100 years old. He doesn't run, no ability. I don't know how long he's going to play. And then Nick Mullins, I have some interest in as well. For me, it'd be Jalen Hurts and Nick Mullins. I still think I like Mac Jones the best. I'm going to leave him in this lineup. But if I had to pick a second quarterback, I think I would go down to maybe Jalen Hurts or Haskins. And then I would go down to Mullins, I think, where I would look at things. Over at the running back situation, let's go back over and check out the Washington football team. And I'm not sure how much interest I will have in some of these guys here. Gibson, McKissick, Barber, maybe Patterson, Lamar Miller. You don't want any. He's dirt. He was dirt when he plays, so I don't really want any Lamar Miller. But Jarrett Patterson's pretty interesting. If I was going to pick one guy to play on the football team here, it'd probably be him. They're not super deep in this position. They got 6 running backs. They got Jonathan Williams as well at the very bottom, but Jarrett Patterson's number 3 in the pecking order, so he'll probably play in that second and third quarter, and they'll probably mop up with Jonathan Williams. So Jonathan Williams and Jarrett Patterson, the 2 I would look at here. I'm going to slide in Jarrett Patterson here. But again, we'll see when we get to some of these other teams. Over on the New England Patriots side of things, they're kind of banged up a little bit. Stevenson just returned to practice, a couple weeks ago, which is good, but Bolden didn't practice yesterday. So I don't think they're going to run a whole lot of Damian Harris out there, or Sony Michel, James White. Those are the guys that they rotate in. And the regular, what Belichick does, he basically just runs a bunch of running backs out there, and those are his guys. So I would look at playing more guys like Stevenson. We got to watch Bolden. If Bolden is out, they got J.J. Taylor and Gaffney at the bottom here. So I would look at that, those guys. But probably, if I had to lean at any of these running backs, it probably would be Stevenson. I really don't want any of these guys at the top. I just don't see Belichick running Harris, Sony Michel, or James White much at all. So it'd probably be Stevenson here. Maybe a little bit of Gaffney or J.J. Taylor. So one of these 3 guys here. We'll throw Stevenson in this lineup. More guys at the running back position. We'll head on over to Pitt. We saw the Steelers here just last Thursday, so we kind of seen what's going on. We did have an injury though. Benny Snell still hasn't practiced. He didn't practice last week. He didn't play in the Hall of Fame game. Najee Harris did get quite a bit of run. So more than I thought he did. I think he ended up getting majority of the first quarter, and that's what they talked about giving him. So if you wanted to run Najee Harris out there, I could understand that just because of how much run he got, and he didn't break any off, but I don't mind taking shots at him if they are going to stay true to the word. We got to see what Tomlin is going to do on this. So it's one of those things I'm kind of wait and see. Once we get closer to Thursday, if we get more news out of the Steeler camp that they're going to continue to give him a lot of reps early, then I'll probably put him in my pool. Because we did have Balazs. He did score that touchdown in the first game, but he didn't practice Thursday. He was out. He got hurt in the Hall of Fame game. So if we don't have him and we don't have Benny Snell, McFarland, he's one of those guys that, if he gets out in space, he can fly, and he might get a little bit more playing time here in terms of, if they don't have no Balazs, they don't have any Snell, they'd probably have to lean on him a little bit more. So they're pretty thin at this position. They got Brooks James, which they brought in to camp last week. I don't really like him. Jalen Samuels could get a little bit of run, but I'm not super excited about him. So, I mean, they're pretty thin at this position. If they've got no Balaj, no Snell, it might be, I don't like really playing these running backs, a ton, but I think we can look at a Najee Harris here. I think we can look at a McFarland. Those are the two guys that I would target probably the most. And again, if it comes out of camp and Tomlin's like, we're going to give him the same amount of snaps, then I like him. If they say, no, we're not going to run him quite as much, they might not have a choice. They do have other running backs, don't get me wrong, but I definitely want one of Harris or McFarland in my lineups here. So we're going to throw McFarland in this particular build. In preseason, I would run a lot of 3 running backs. I know we in regular season, we tend to do that as well. In tournaments, tend to go more 4 wide receivers just because of the upside they bring. But if we're just looking, I'm looking all at position scarcity and how much time they're going to see the field, and these running back situation over at Pittsburgh looks pretty thin. So it's a situation where I think we can take advantage of it and play a few of these guys. Heading on over to the Philadelphia Eagles situation, running back. They've got a lot more. They've got kind of a plethora here. Somewhere I'm just kind of want to stay away from. I don't get too excited about it. I mean, all these guys are kind of healthy in camp here. Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, Gainwell, Kerryon Johnson, who just came over, from Detroit. So they got, again, Jordan Howard. It's just one of those things where play the guys in the positions or on the teams where the positions are pretty thin. And for me, that's New England Patriots. That's the Pittsburgh Steelers. I would look at those for your running backs. And then in Washington, like I said, maybe Patterson. So I'm just going to stay away here. I don't think there's a situation where we need to play any of these guys. I think I would just mark them all out of my player pool, to be honest with you. Over at, let's hit the wide receiver position over at the football team. It's again where Curtis Samuel, he is on the PUP list. I thought I read this, yesterday. So we got F1, Terry McLaurin up the top, Cam Sims Jr., Adam Humphries. They're pretty deep. They still got about 11 wide receivers. I don't think it's a situation where I want to play much of any of these guys here. If I did, I would take some guys towards the bottom of the player pool. Maybe look at a Gandy Golden, maybe a Harmon. If I was going to look at maybe one guy, maybe Harmon's a guy to look at. I'm just not too excited. I think I'm not going to play these guys. Again, I'm looking for positions where these guys are pretty thin, and they got quite a few wide receivers here. So I don't think I'm going to look any at the Washington football team. Over on the New England Patriots, they get about the same. They're not super. Their wide receiver core is not that great as it is. But I think we can look at a few guys here. Again, up at the top, we got Aguilar, Myers, Bourne, Harry. It's a horrible wide receiver core, man, for the regular season. They just don't have anybody. I'm not excited about their wide receiver core in the regular season at all. But again, here in the, preseason, we're looking at guys just going to see the field. I think Trey Nixon could be a guy that we could look at a little bit. Maybe a Marvin Hall. Jacoby Myers, like I said, I don't really want to take too many of these guys in this the first string here. I don't know how much they're going to play. I'll have to see what Belichick's going to do and if we're going to attack these guys at all. But I just don't see it in their first preseason game playing a ton. I guess I would look at Myers if I was going to look at one guy up here, but I think I would sit down here and more the Trey Nixon, maybe Zuber. We're going to put Nixon in here. Maybe Marvin Hall, Olszewski, those guys right there. Matthew Slater. I just not super excited about him at all, honestly, but we're going to throw Trey Nixon in there. Remember him winning me some money in college football. And again, he's down on the depth chart towards the middle. I don't like the guys at the very bottom. One thing in preseason, when they get to the fourth quarter, they're not throwing a ton. Generally, they run in the ball a lot. So I don't really like to target guys that are, at the super bottom, but target guys that are like in the middle of the depth chart, like the second string guys, maybe the top third string guys. Those are the guys I kind of like to target. Let's head over to Pittsburgh Steelers and kind of see what they have going on in their wide receiver core. they're a lot thinner here. You know, James Washington didn't practice on Monday. Ray McLeod did not practice on Monday. McLeod, you know, didn't practice last week, and he's still in a play and did okay. Again, James Washington not practicing. Cody White is back. But again, Claypool got a lot of looks from Rudolph. So maybe there's somebody that, you know, we can look at playing. Again, we shouldn't see any Big Ben here, but some guy we can look at. If Ray McLeod does play, I guess we can look at him. I mean, he was getting quite a bit of work. Busey's a guy I think we can look at a little bit. I think Cody White, you know, coming back to practice, you know, he's at the very bottom. Him and Tyler Simmons, if we're going to look at guys like that. I think Simmons ended up caught a touchdown. Did he catch a touchdown? I think last week. It was him. One ball. I think it was like one ball for a touchdown. Isaiah McCoy, again, deep threat if we're looking just for a deep bomb. He's a guy we can kind of look at, and he's kind of in the middle of that. Anthony Johnson, again, got a lot of work. So he's kind of a guy that I do like targeting. But again, not super excited about this. But I think I'm going to look at Anthony Johnson in here. Guys, again, in that middle of the depth chart that could get some run. Like I said, if you're going to look at the top side of it, maybe Deontay Johnson, maybe Claypool. It'd be one of those guys. But again, I'm going to keep targeting those middle of the pack guys and look for me like an Anthony Johnson in that slot role. You know, watching him, you know, get a few balls that Hall of Fame game. You know, he can take one to the house if he can get one in space. So I'm kind of going to throw him in this lineup. Then head on over to the Philadelphia Eagles here and kind of look at their situation at wide receiver. And they're not super deep, so maybe this is a place we can look at. JJ Arcega-Whiteside, he's a big body. He's the kind of guy that I could look at here. Devontae Smith, he's going to be out for a while. The rookie from Alabama. So, you know, he's not going to play. But they got Jalen Reagor, Fulgham Ward, Watkins. They're kind of weak here. Hightower, you know, may or may not play. I think he's out. So we have no Hightower. We got Patton. So I think JJ Arcega-Whiteside's pretty interesting here. I think Ward's pretty interesting. Watkins, you know, Reagor. You know, if we're gonna look at the top here, I kind of like these guys. You know, like in the middle, like Watkins, Ward. They're pretty thin. I think the Eagles are probably the thinnest. But we saw Pittsburgh defense play pretty good against Dallas in the Hall of Fame game. You know, Dallas, man, if Prescott's not willing to can't go, they are not a deep team. But again, I think we could look at a Reagor here. I think we look at a Ward. We could look at a Watkins or Arcega-Whiteside. I'm gonna throw Arcega-Whiteside in this lineup. I think he could get quite a bit of playing time. But again, I think we can target a lot of these guys just because of how thin they truly are at the wide receiver position. So we're going to throw Arcega-Whiteside in this. But again, I'll have the projections more up to date and kind of go through the depth charts closer to Thursday once we get a little bit more news out of camp. And then we'll have the cheat sheets over there at DFSArmy, and they'll be updated as well to kind of figure out where we're going with things. And again, if you don't have an account, if you want to play 150 lineups, and you don't want to you sign up for a company that's outsourcing their optimizer, head on over to DFSArmy, use promo code Preseason to get that 50% off your first month and 10% off after that. And again, we grandfather people in for life. If you stick around with us, your price will never change. All right. Let's head on over, look at tight ends, and we'll talk defenses, and we will get out of here. We'll go back to the Washington football team and look at their tight ends, see what they got going on. Logan Thomas up at the top. Then we got Bates and Hemingway, Seals, Jones. Not super excited about any of these guys. I know we got to play one. I'm just not. This is not a place that I would really go. So I don't think I'm going to play any of these guys on the football team. Over on the New England Patriots side, we can kind of look at these guys a little bit, see their tight end pool. So Hunter Henry left practice. I didn't think he was not a guy that I would really want to play anyways here. at the top. I do kind of like him maybe in regular season, but not so much here. Jonnu Smith is up there as well. They get two big tight ends. Maybe they're going back to the Gronk and Hernandez days where they had two just elite tight ends. And I think they do with Smith and Henry if they can stay healthy. I'm just not super excited about a lot of these tight ends here, for the Patriots. As a whole, I'm not super excited about them, but, Fumagalli, Lacrosse, I don't really like any of these guys. So again, this first game I'm going to kind of cross off when it comes to the tight end situation. Over the Pittsburgh Steelers, one guy that we didn't get to see because he was out was Freiermuth, man. Guy out of Penn State, big athlete. He returned to practice. Since he didn't get any playing time in the Hall of Fame game, I think he's kind of a guy that we can look at. I really like his big play upside. And so he's kind of a guy that I would look at. I don't really have a whole lot of interest in Ebron, even if he does play. Gentry. Radar's pretty interesting. I don't mind taking some shots at him, but if Freiermuth does play, I just think they want to see what they got in him. Again, he's just a big athlete and somebody that I'm looking at. So I'm going to throw Freiermuth in this lineup. It's kind of guy that I'm looking at and the kind of guy that, I think has, red zone, definitely has red zone potential, but definitely can go down the seam and catch a ball and do a little bit of everything. So I think they want to see what he can do, and he's kind of a guy that I want to be heavy on Thursday. Head over to the Philadelphia Eagles side of things and see what they got going on over here. Now again, let's see. They're kind of, Mike Gesicki. I guess he's kind of a guy. Where am I at here? Gesicki's on the stinking Dolphins. It's like, what am I doing? Goddard, Ertz. I don't see they're going to play a lot. There's no reason to play those dudes. They're going to play a lot in the regular season. First game, I don't see it a ton. I think if you're going to look down here, maybe look at a Richard Rodgers. He played a little bit, but he's not really a big athlete like Freiermuth is. So he's just kind of a plotter. We saw him with Green Bay a little bit. Tyree Jackson is a guy I guess you could look at a little bit down here on the, I think he's fourth on the depth chart. So if you were looking for a guy, I guess you could look down to him. You want to look at Caleb Wilson. They got a lot of tight ends over here at Philly, so I'm not super excited about it. I think the tight ends I'm most excited about playing are, like I said, Pittsburgh with Freiermuth or Radar. And then, over on the New England side, really, I don't know. I might just be all in on these tight ends at Pittsburgh. It's just the less depth. Freiermuth just seems like it has massive upside in being a young guy, and they already have Ebron as their number one. I think they just want to see what they got out of him. So, that's who it would be if I was playing cash games right now. Again, he didn't play last week. As long as he practices the rest of the week, he's going to be the guy that I'm going to be focused on. But again, you're just looking for your red zone guys. Again, I'll have the projections more dialed in towards Thursday. But Freiermuth is a guy that I want the most. And I'm not going to fill in this last here. We got the last defense. See what we're going to look at here. I kind of want to attack defenses that are going to go against, a bad quarterback situation. So Washington football team going against New England. Again, he's going to go up against Mac Jones. Don't be afraid to play in a 2-game slate, especially. It's okay to play your defense against your quarterback. It's all you're trying to do is get raw points. So it does not matter on this at all. So I have no problem throwing in the Washington football team defense up here against New England, against Mac Jones, rookie quarterback. I don't mind doing that. The Steelers going up against, the whole crew of Jalen Hurts and Mullins. I don't have no problem going that. So the Steelers is one I really like as well. They were in the nut lineup in that showdown, up at captain. Dallas looked really bad. So I'm sure that they'll be popular just because recency biased and they've already seen what they got. The Patriots going up against those Washington Quarterbacks as well, I don't mind them. And then the Eagles. I think they're to be my last on the list. If I had to rank them, it'd probably be Steelers. Probably Steelers football team, Patriots, Eagles, if I had to rank them. But again, don't be like, oh, I'm running Mac Jones, I can't run the Washington football team. No, that's not how that works. Throw them out there. Throw them out there. All right. I hope that helped you. I hope that breakdown helped you a little bit. Hopefully help you win a little bit of money. And again, if you like these videos, hit that like button for me. Subscribe to the channel. Let me know you want more NFL content. I'm going to drop a few very early week 1 looks here for both DraftKings and Fanduel a little bit later on today. And again, if you don't have any NFL coverage, you're looking for NFL coverage, head on over to DFSArmy.com. Use promo code Preseason. Get 50% off your first month membership over the VIP membership. And let me help you win you some money. So we'll see you over on the flip side. Deuces.